So first off, I want to thank everyone for being here today. My name is Aditya of Empathy, and I am the head of marketing for Amplitude. And it's pretty awesome because this is our third growth clinic that we've done. The first one was focused on growth in general, and the second one was focused on retention. And this one we're focusing on data. And I want to ask the audience a quick poll. How long do you think it takes the average company to answer a question on their users' behavior? Raise your hand if you think it takes minutes. Hours? Days? Weeks? Months? OK. So fun fact, based on a survey that we did, we found out that it takes the average company about 5 to 6 days to understand a question that they ask on their users' behavior. And that's why we're here today to talk about data and data accessibility. To kick it off, we're going to have our CEO and founder, Spenser Skates, say a few words, and then we'll follow up with our first panel.
So firstly, thank you all for coming to Amplitude's third growth clinic. I'm super excited to have all of you here and to spend this evening with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Spencer, and I co-founded Amplitude 4 years ago along with my co-founder, Curtis. We wanted to help companies make better product and ultimately serve the people that they cared about most better, their end users. Anyway, enough about me. So tonight's clinic is on data access within an organization. So why is data access so important? It's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit over the last few years. Well, the actions that users take within a product are the one way that every single user communicates with us, the product owner. Whenever someone does something in an application, it's that user's way of telling us what they like, what they don't like, where they're struggling, where they find success. We get that communication every single day through user behavior data. If you're a product owner and you ignored the feedback that you got from a user survey or from a focus group or a case study, you'd be really foolish not to listen to that communication about your product. Yet, most of us ignore every single day the one way all of our users are communicating to us, and that's through what they're doing in our application. And ultimately, that's why data access is so important. It's access to that communication. It's access to what customers and users are telling us. So what does a successful data accessible culture look like? Well, it's one where everyone has access to that data. It's one where everyone listens to that data. It's one where people make decisions informed by that data. And ultimately, it's one where companies find success through that understanding and through that feedback they get from their users. So I wanted to share a quick story with you about how better data access drove a big success at one of the companies that we work with, LogMeIn. For those of you who don't know LogMeIn, they're a 1,000+ person company in terms of employees. They make a bunch of products, including LastPass, a password manager, and JoinMe, an online meeting application. So a year ago, if you're a product manager at one of these products and you wanted to figure out what your user retention was, you'd need to visit your business intelligence team, and then they'd ask you to fill out a form, and then you get slotted behind all the marketing and sales folks because, well, marketing sales drives bottom line, and product, well, that's like a long-term strategic thing, so we don't matter as much. And the whole experience would be like waiting outside an Apple store in line the night before an iPhone release. And you'd just be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to get results on what your user retention is. And you're waiting because you ultimately want to do the right thing for the business. You want to understand what it is about your product that users like and what it is that they don't like. And that waiting really drives a bottleneck in your ability to execute as a product manager. So we got the LogMeIn team up and running on Amplitude 9 months ago to remove that bottleneck. As a result, one of the product managers there learned that the key to retention was how many websites you added within the first week of using the product to the password manager. So if you got enough websites added to the password manager, you'd actually be a really engaged user long term. And if you didn't get beyond that threshold, you'd actually really likely to churn out. And so it's just about, OK, how do we get more people to add websites to the password manager? Because that's ultimately what drives retention for the product. So what did they do with this? Well, they tested tons of changes to the onboarding experience. They added and removed things from the onboarding flow. They made tweaks to how you added sites to your password manager. They changed part of how registration worked. Now, the key was, in order to get the next test out quickly, you needed to understand what the impact the previous test had made. If you didn't get a chance to understand the impact the previous test had made, well, you're kind of stuck in bottleneck, because you got to make a choice. It's like, hey, do we deploy this change? Do we not? Should we start again? And because they could figure out what the impact was as soon as they collected the data and viewed it on a dashboard themselves, they could move on to this next step right away. If they had to go through the business intelligence team, it would have been like, forget it. You would never have made as many changes to the product and the onboarding experience. Now, all that work culminated in a new onboarding tour. And the crazy thing is that the new onboarding tour, as a result of that tons of iteration on tweaks to the onboarding funnel, resulted in an increase in retention of 2x, twice the retention they had before. That is massive, okay? I'm not talking about a 10% bump in retention or a 20% bump or even a 50% bump in retention. I'm talking about increasing your retention by double. That's massive. If you asked me how much I would pay for doubling my retention, easily give you like, I don't know, $2 million right here on the spot. So that's the impact, and they were only able to do that because they had access to the data and because they were able to make improvements to the onboarding tour so quickly. Anyway, so we share their excitement for what they did to their product. And we're hosting this because we wanted to share the power of data access and the power that it has to transform how a product organization operates with all of you. So just to give you an overview of what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, we're going to hear from our panelists around the challenges in getting data access, how they make it accessible within their organizations, and then ultimately the insights and successes they've gotten as a result of those. Just to give you an overview of some of the panelists, we have starting off with Josh Curry, who's head of customer intelligence from MindBody. We will then be, a few folks from Amplitude will then be giving a talk about how insights around data have driven product and design decisions at Amplitude. And then we'll be closing it off with a panel from where I'll be participating, along with Nira Yal, the author of Hooked, Noah Jessup, the head of Data Publishers Clearinghouse, and Aaron Clymer, the head of data and analytics at PopSugar. We're also giving away an iPad Pro. Please tweet at Amplitude Mobile with #GrowthClinic for a chance to win it tonight, and we'll be giving that away at the end of tonight. So anyway, thank you all for taking the time to join us, and I'm looking forward to tonight. Appreciate it.